Hello everyone, my name is Anthony Clemens, and today I'm going to be talking about universal healthcare in America. According to Wharam and others during a research paper called The Navigating the Rise of High-Deductible Health Insurance, Childbirth, and the Bronze Age, they talked about how childbirth rapidly declines during times of crisis, such as shown on the births per 1,000 over time 93 to 2023, and then also elders have continually received this universal healthcare already. That was described in Kotlikoff's Healthcare Fix by the MIT Press. And as of 2020, Americans pay on average about 11.6% of their income based on health insurance alone. And the average tax rate in America is 22.6%, according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. They also published that Canada's tax rate on average is about 25.1%. So if we add the 22.6% with the 11.6% average that Americans pay on health insurance, Americans technically pay about 34%, but they also have to pay co-pays and out-of-pocket fees and everything, which would normally be covered under a universal healthcare system. So there's a lot of reasons on why the system needs to change. Right now, there's a lot of economic distress, and that directly leads to childbirth going down. So according to that same Warham and others paper that was referenced before, they quoted, studies have linked economic distress to reduced U.S. birth rates, such as between 2007 and 2010, it declined about 8%, and this was proportionally way higher for lower income women. Compared to all the other countries, the U.S. has significantly higher healthcare expenditure, while all the other countries have a lot closer to the center modeled health insurance costs. This is detailed in a paper written by Dieleman and others, on which they describe the evolution and patterns of global health financing from about 95 to 2014, which is where the diagram to the right is provided. And they talk about how countries such as Uganda and the USA have way greater than modeled expenditure per capita, and not a lot of it really comes from the government at all. Compared to all the other countries, the US has significantly higher healthcare spending, and it's actually particularly awful in allowing its healthcare system to evolve in the way that it is, according to Young. And he talks about how the US is a laughingstock for the rest of the world, and about how the healthcare system is one of the worst outcomes in the developed world and has become unchanged in a very long time. So, you may say, why don't we just stay with the current problem? Many people will say that the problem is not really that big, but in fact, it directly is proportional to the birth rates, as mentioned before, and the current system lacks transparency. So, these mothers that are going in and trying to give birth or account for all of these costs that are going to happen, they don't even know because the health insurance companies really negotiate a price with the provider rather than being upfront with, hey, it's going to cost this much. And if the citizens already pay for their own health insurance, we also always have to pay for the taxes that go to Medicare and Medicaid anyway. So why not just lump that all into one big tax? So there's a lot of critics of universal healthcare. A lot of political infighting has happened in recent years in which people call it socialized medicine, or they link it to some sort of left wing political movement. But actually, the truth is that these companies are making so much money now. If you look at pharmaceutical industry revenue from 2010 to 2020, you can see that it's almost directly proportional to the total health expenditures of the U.S. in billions, as shown above as well, with the line marked around 2010 for reference. But we as citizens aren't alone. There's also members of government that have come out and spoken about how their health was affected by health insurance uh, and the poor health insurance that there is, such as former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, and she spoke at great passion and at length about her own family healthcare problem. And researchers have actually been able to come up with entire plans that can be posed to lawmakers. So these researchers and legislators have also already come up with solutions before, it's just they need to be passed into actual law. One solution that was brought forward by the Kotlikoff healthcare fix again was creating a standard electronic system for processing and storing information, and which cuts administrative costs. According to the Bronze Age article that I was talking about before with childbirth, they described the idea of reworking HDHPs, which is high deductible health insurance plans, to provide better incentives, be more transparent in pricing, which was talked about before, which was a huge problem with the current system, and provide more personalized coverage for people that have extensive health issues or will need certain treatments down the line, so that you get what you pay for and you don't have to pay too much for stuff that you're never going to use. So another possible solution would be preventing lobbying of insurance providers to Congress, and just past the lobbying, the single payer healthcare system will also take off the burden off of credit bureaus and save the American citizens money in the long run because, we're already paying the taxes for Medicare and Medicaid. We already pay our insurance. And so if we lump that all together into one big payment, then we don't have to worry about people going to debt and then credit bureaus, charging interest on that and losing money on them. But the best solution that I found was from the Kotlikoff article that I mentioned before, in which a medical security system, MSS, was described. It's essentially a voucher ticket system in which each person gets a voucher about every October, and then in January their insurance starts. And so what happens is the vouchers can be, say, really high for someone with pre-existing medical condition, whereas they're really low for someone with no medical conditions. This forces insurance companies to lean out their executive branch and administrative costs, and as well provides an electronic records management system for the U.S. government. So what you can do as an actual person, you can contact your representatives and let them know about what policy you think should be implemented. Lobbyists can really only sway the opinion of the politicians if there's no solidified political backing from the people themselves. Another big issue is the destigmatization of publicly funded healthcare and saying that's a socialized medicine or that it's a very left-wing idea, when in fact it's a very central idea, because the fact is you want your family to be healthy. You don't want to spend all of your money towards it. And if we're already having to spend 11% towards health insurance plus our taxes, why don't we just lump it all into one big thing and then end up saving us in the end? All right, thank you for listening to my speech, and I really appreciate all of you guys. This is my sources cited for all of the things that I used. This was definitely a very interesting speech that I had to research, and I learned a lot from it. Thank you.